what if a company could just create its own money? A currency that works everywhere, same for everyone, truly leveling the financial playing field. Sounds a bit sci-fi, doesn't it? Well, today, we're actually diving into something that's trying to do just that. On passive credits. We're going to really unpack this internal digital currency, explore what it is, why a global platform like OnPassive even needed its own value system, and how it kind of works as the economic engine inside their whole ecosystem. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, I think, is that on-passive credits aren't just, another way to pay online. They represent a pretty fundamental rethink of how value flows inside this huge, borderless, self-contained system. It's really about trying to overcome a lot of the limitations of traditional finance that, frankly, hold people back, especially globally. We're talking about creating sort of an independent economic nervous system for the platform.
An independent economic nervous system. Wow, that's a powerful way to describe it. Okay, so let's start with the basics then for everyone listening. What exactly are on-passive credits? Is this like a Bitcoin thing, a cryptocurrency on some public blockchain, or is it something else entirely?
Right, good question. Think of them more like the exclusive internal currency just for the on-passive
Oh,
ecosystem.
yeah.
They're completely digital, yeah. You can earn them, you can spend them, transfer them to others inside, and down the line withdraw them. Imagine it like an on-passive dollar. That's kind of a useful shorthand. It only works inside their digital world, though. So no, it's not a publicly traded crypto. It's a proprietary value token specific to on-passive.
Okay, an on-passive dollar, that helps clarify. It sounds stable, pegged somehow. But why? Why go to the trouble of building a whole new currency? Why not just use, I don't know, dollars, euros, or even PayPal or Stripe? What was the big problem they were trying to solve?
Yeah, that's really the core question, isn't it? OnPass's vision is massive, a truly global digital ecosystem, users in, over 200 countries. If you rely on traditional banks or even many payment gateways for that kind of reach, well, you run into huge friction. You've got slow international transfers, sometimes crazy fees, complicated currency conversions, and just plain accessibility issues. Think about people without bank accounts or in regions with less developed financial systems. On-passive credits are designed to just bypass all of that external mess, create one smooth, accessible financial experience for absolutely everyone, no matter where you are or what your local currency is.
Okay, so it's really about knocking down those financial borders, making sure everyone has the same access,
Yeah.
a level playing field. That makes total sense for a global platform. So let's make it concrete. How do people actually use these credits inside the system? Can you walk us through an example, maybe with one of their main products?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a founder, that their term for early community members, and you earn a commission. Okay, so that commission, it lands directly in your O-wallet, which is your secure digital wallet right there on the platform, credited instantly as on-passive credits. And from that point, you've got a lot of options. You could use those credits to buy other on-passive tools, maybe get OConnect, their video conferencing thing, or ODomain for web hosting, or even use them to upgrade your existing services to get more features.
Right, okay, so the internal use is immediate. And I guess that also helps them keep product prices the same everywhere, right? Without worrying about, the dollar versus the yen versus the peso constantly changing.
Precisely. Exactly. If a product costs, say, 25 credits, it's 25 credits whether you're buying it in New York or Nairobi. That price is stable, it's universal, it's not bouncing around because of local inflation or wild exchange rates like you see with regular money. That kind of predictability, it really builds confidence for users all over the world.
Yeah, that clarity on pricing must be a huge plus. Okay, this leads to a question I bet a lot of people have. Is one on-passive credit just like $1? Are they basically the same?
So yes and no. For consistency and just making it easy to understand, one credit is pegged to the value of $1. And this is important, it's not actually a US dollar. It's still that proprietary digital token that only lives and breathes inside the on-passive ecosystem. So while a 25 credit product feels like it's worth about $25, the credits themselves are mainly used within the platform. The dollar peg is really just a familiar, stable anchor point for value. It avoids the volatility you'd get with, say, a regular crypto.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a reference point. Now, beyond being borderless and stable, what other advantages do these credits have compared to just using regular money, especially thinking about that confidence, control, and connection idea you mentioned earlier?
Well, first off, speed. It's incredibly fast. Transactions inside OnPassive They're basically instant. No waiting days for bank transfers, no swift fees eating into your money, no weekends or holidays stopping things. That real-time access gives you immediate control over your earnings and spending.
Instant is good.
Yeah. Then there's the security aspect. Every single credit transaction gets recorded permanently on OnPass's own secure ledger. Think of it like a private, super secure transaction log, kind of like a blockchain, but built just for them. It's designed to be tamper-proof, making sure your credits are safe. Plus, they use O-Verify, their identity verification system, which adds another layer against fraud. That helps build trust, that connection within the community.
That real-time element and the security focus, yeah, those are huge in today's world. What about taxes? That's always tricky with digital stuff, especially when it's global.
That's a very practical point, definitely. An interesting aspect is that because credits function internally, you can accumulate them, reinvest them within the ecosystem perhaps, without necessarily creating an immediate taxable event. Now, obviously, this depends heavily on your specific country's tax laws, always. But generally, taxation would likely only kick in when you actually withdraw the value out of the ONPASSIVE system and convert it into your local fiat currency. So it offers a bit more control over financial planning within the platform.
Okay, that's interesting flexibility. Let's talk commissions again, since you mentioned that's a key way founders interact. How does that work exactly with credits?
Right. So when a commission is generated, it's calculated based on a dollar value initially. But then it's instantly credited to the user's O-wallet as OnPassive credits. This structure gives immediate access, immediate flexibility. You could then use those earned credits to, say, buy new OnPassive tools, maybe get more traffic packages to boost your presence, or even give credits to another founder directly within the system. It really creates this kind of self-sustaining economic loop inside the platform.
Yeah, it really hammers home that internal, self-sufficient economic engine idea. It means you're not constantly needing to pop out, convert currency, deal with external banks just to use the platform's own services.
Exactly right. That self-sufficiency is baked into the design. It ensures the value created inside the ecosystem can just flow smoothly back into it, which helps drive growth and keep things efficient.
How deep does this go? Are these credits woven into everything in the OnPassive ecosystem, the OES? Like, is every single product priced in credits?
Yes, absolutely. Every single product, every service within the OES uses credits as its currency. So whether you need OConnect or you're using OTracker for analytics or any other tool they offer, credits are how you pay. And looking forward, all the planned marketplace services, things like Omart for shopping, Obless for charitable giving, they're all designed to run on credits too. The whole idea is you really shouldn't need to step outside the ecosystem to get things done or spend your value.
Wow, okay. A truly closed loop economy then. And for the founders listening, can they earn these credits passively? Or is it all about active selling and recruiting?
Oh, definitely. The compensation model is built to reward users through multiple avenues, and yes, all those earnings come in as credits. This can include things like potential shares from daily traffic flow, commissions based on your team's activity, rewards from leadership pools, and of course, direct referrals. So by building your presence, nurturing your team, and staying engaged, there are definitely ways designed to potentially accumulate credits more passively over time.
With people in, what, over 200 countries? How does this one single currency actually scale effectively? How does it manage to simplify things across so many different financial realities? All that complexity.
Well, the simplicity actually comes from having that single consistent unit of value. A founder in Kenya, someone in India, a reseller in Canada. They're all dealing with the same credit value. It just wipes out the currency confusion, gets rid of conversion fees, bypasses all the bottlenecks and delays of old-school international transfers, and as OnPassive grows, the plan is to add more power to credits too. Things like smart contracts for automated payouts and better connections, more interoperability between O-Wallet and maybe external crypto or fiat systems down the road, more ways to get liquidity, basically.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what does this all mean? Where are OnPassive credits really heading? Big picture, in the world of digital money and the future economy.
Yeah, the vision for credits is definitely ambitious. They're really positioning them to be the main way value moves, not just for their current tools, but across that whole OnPassive marketplace, fueling Obless donations, making Omart shopping possible, maybe even connecting to offline services eventually. Future possibilities could see credits acting with even more autonomy, perhaps more like traditional blockchain tokens in some ways, maybe gaining more external liquidity options, perhaps even getting listed somewhere for wider exchange someday. That could really blur the lines between their internal economy and the wider world. And if we, zoom out and connect this to the bigger picture, This whole on-passive credit system really makes you ask, what does this kind of internal self-sustaining digital currency model mean for how we think about value? How does it impact economic independence, global inclusion, especially as the digital world keeps evolving? This deep dive really shows how a platform is aiming to be its own complete economic ecosystem and describing its currency not just as money, but as embodying confidence, control, and connection. Well, that's quite a statement. It's worth considering how approaches like this, these self-contained systems, might challenge or maybe even complement the traditional financial world in the years ahead, particularly for a truly global audience. Key leaders. So our mission today, to unpack these claims. How does this AI system supposedly generate and handle such massive targeted traffic? And maybe more importantly, what could claims like these mean for you if they actually hold true?
Right. And what's really compelling here, I think, is the core idea they're putting forward. They're talking about a system designed to, well, democratize something that's historically been a huge hurdle for individuals, for small businesses.
Which is,
Access to good, high-quality online traffic. The source material really hammers this home, framing it as changing lives, generating passive income, and specifically for ordinary people, all through technology. So, yeah, it's a chance for us to really dig into what on-passive claims this system can do.
okay, that number alone, 12.5 million visitors a month, it just grabs you, doesn't it?
It's staggering.
So let's start there. What makes this traffic revolutionary, as they put it? The core idea seems to be that their AI marketing engine built this whole thing.
Well, yeah, revolutionary because according to them, it's not just, random clicks. The concept they present is traffic that's targeted, verified, and scalable.
Okay, targeted, verified, scalable. What does that mean compared to normal traffic?
They draw a clear line. They say it's different from ordinary traffic, specifically calling out things like cheap traffic, bots, fake clicks, things that don't really convert.
Right, the junk traffic.
Exactly. Instead, the claim is this is about real humans actively searching for solutions. Solutions offered by OnPassive's own products, things like OConnect, OTracker, OTrim.
So linking the traffic directly to their product suite.
Precisely. And for people without a ton of marketing background, this automated large-scale approach, well, it's definitely presented as a game changer. It's interesting to see how these claims stack up against, standard digital marketing benchmarks for what quality traffic actually looks like.
Okay, so if this traffic is supposed to be so different, so revolutionary, the big question is how? How does their AI allegedly generate 12.5 million visitors every month? Can you break down the actual claimed methods, the nuts and bolts?
Sure. The sources do detail quite a mix of strategies that their AI purportedly uses. They specifically list things like AI SEO engines.
Okay, AI for search optimization.
Right. Then pretty comprehensive paid ad campaigns. They mention big platforms, Google, YouTube, TikTok.
So spending money on ads, but managed by AI.
Apparently. Also social media funnels, email retargeting systems, influencer campaigns, and broad content distribution networks.
That's quite a list. Sounds like the whole digital marketing playbook.
It does. And they also add that OnPassive's own platforms like Onet and Odesk play a role in bringing in native traffic. The key takeaway from their description is that all of this, all these different threads, are supposedly managed by their AI and plug into the main OnPassive ecosystem.
Managed by AI.
Yeah. Now, they don't go deep into their proprietary algorithms, obviously, but an AI SEO engine, for instance, you'd imagine it doing dynamic trend analysis, maybe real-time content tweaking.
Stuff humans do, but faster and at scale.
That's the implication. But yeah, for 12.5 million monthly visitors, you might hope for a bit more detail on how their AI supposedly beats traditional methods or what makes their algorithms unique.
Right, and with all this automation they're describing, it leads to another obvious question. If the AI is doing the, quote, heavy lifting, how does this traffic actually get to the individual founders and affiliates? How does it benefit them directly? And crucially, how do they claim to keep it fair? Because it sounds almost, well, too easy.
That's a very fair question. And that's where they bring in this concept called the autopilot business model and the AI structured rotator.
Autopilot rotator, okay.
The promise, essentially, is that this targeted traffic flows to every active founder and affiliate. The AI, they state, uses a specific rotational logic, meaning that every founder and affiliate who has activated their O-wallet and product subscriptions gets placed in the rotator. It cycles through them.
So everyone with skin in the game gets a turn, theoretically.
That's the claim. And the emphasis is really on accessibility. You don't have to be a marketer, they say, because OnPassive does the heavy lifting. They assert the AI ensures traffic is distributed evenly, fairly, and based on your activity level.
Based on your activity level.
Huh.
Sounds like a potential catch. What activity?
That's a detail the source material doesn't fully elaborate on. To make distribution truly fair at this scale, you'd think the AI would need complex inputs, engagement, conversions, maybe location.
Right, dynamically adjusting.
Exactly. The source says activity level influences it, but doesn't specify how that activity is measured or weighted. That's definitely an area where more transparency would be needed to fully assess the fairness claim.
Okay, so assuming someone is in this rotator and receiving this AI-driven traffic,
Yeah.
what's the potential outcome for them? Financially, building a team.
Yeah.
What do the sources say?
Well, they connect the traffic directly to potential results. Financially, it depends on what product or offer the traffic lands on. Makes sense.
Sure.
They use OConnect as an example. Someone receiving traffic directed to OConnect could potentially earn recurring commissions from each activated user.
Recurring commissions.
Yeah.
The holy grail for many online.
Indeed. And what they highlight as particularly interesting is the AI's supposed role after the click. The claim is the AI follows up with every lead, nurturing them until conversion, even if they don't buy right away.
So automated follow-up too, like an AI sales assistant.
That's the picture they paint. A long-term engagement strategy, not just one-shot traffic.
Okay. And beyond direct sales, you mentioned team building.
Yes, that's a big part of it. The traffic, according to the sources, doesn't just sell products, it builds your team.
How does that work?
It's described as leading to benefits like spillover sales, activating people in your downline, and eventually helping you achieve rank advancements within their structure.
Spillover, meaning sales generated by others can benefit you.
That seems to be the idea. They mention that if someone connected through your rotator link brings in new users, you get rewarded through matrix-level commissions. So the vision they present is this potential for passive earning that grows as the whole system grows.
Passive earning is always attractive, but it relies on that system actually growing and converting as claimed, right?
Absolutely. There are inherent dependencies in any model like this, even if the source material focuses heavily on the potential upside.
Now, this is where, for me, it gets really intriguing. The sources talk about this changing lives globally. Can you share some examples they gave? And then the million-dollar question, perhaps. How do they actually ensure fairness with such powerful AI, especially when they claim no favoritism?
Yeah, the global impact stories are definitely emphasized. They paint these pictures of people in, say, villages in India and remote towns in Africa suddenly earning in dollars.
Oh.
There's one specific example cited from Kenya where they state $200 a month can support a whole family.
That puts it in perspective.
It does, and it's framed very intentionally as creating new economies for ordinary people, even calling it a digital revolution. It's a powerful narrative.
It's certainly appealing, but figures like that, $200 supporting a family, also make you think about the scale needed and potential local complexities, don't they?
Absolutely. It raises questions about adoption rates, infrastructure, currency conversion, things like that, which aren't always detailed in these high-level descriptions.
Okay, and the fairness piece. How does the AI supposedly guarantee that?
Right, fairness. The source material is quite direct here. ONPASSIVE claims they ensure this through AI fairness protocols.
Protocols built into the AI itself.
That's what they say. It's stated very clearly. Everyone has an equal shot regardless of their skill, location, or recruitment ability. Why? Because it's built into the code with no favoritism.
Built into the code.
And the rotator ensures that even the last founder gets quality traffic. Now, again, they don't reveal the secret sauce of the algorithms themselves. But generally, you could imagine AI fairness protocols involving things like blind distribution metrics, maybe A/B testing traffic patterns, audit trails.
Ways to check the system isn't biased.
Theoretically, yes. The challenge, as always, with proprietary tech is verifying these claims without seeing the actual code. But the claim is strong. Fairness is integral to the system's design.
So looking ahead then, what's next for this traffic system according to ONPASSIVE? Is 12.5 million the ceiling, or are they aiming higher?
Oh, definitely higher. Based on their statements, the message is clearly the 12.5M is just the beginning.
Just the beginning. What's the target?
The stated expectation is to scale to 50M monthly, that's 50 million, within 6 months of full product activation.
50 million. Wow, that's ambitious.
Extremely ambitious.
Mm.
And they tie this directly to more commissions, more success stories, and a wave of financial freedom globally. They position anyone involved now as pioneers in something much bigger to come.
It really is quite something to wrap your head around, isn't it? This
Yeah.
idea of an AI handling the really difficult parts of online business, the marketing, the team building, all on this massive scale,
Hmm.
and supposedly making it accessible to individuals.
Hmm.
Now, for you listening, especially if you know the digital marketing space, these claims, these numbers, they probably spark a lot of thoughts. We've laid out OnPassive's claims based on their leadership statements. It's their perspective on this revolution we've dissected. So the thought to leave you with is this. In a world where digital marketing often feels incredibly complex, maybe even overwhelming, how might a fully automated AI-powered model like this, if it truly delivers on these promises, reshape entrepreneurship and maybe even how you think about passive income?
It definitely pushes us to consider the future, doesn't it? Think about how AI, applied like this, could potentially challenge our traditional ideas about what it takes to succeed financially. Does it lower the barriers of skill, effort, even where you live? If a system like this truly scales and creates widespread passive income opportunities, well, what are the broader implications for the future of work, for global economic participation? Something to ponder. It's from product strategists, little hints in webinars trying to decode what this intriguing idea means,
Right.
how it might unfold, and really what it could mean for you.
Indeed. And our research, it's followed some interesting trails, whispers of advanced AI, smart data compression,
Okay.
and hints about this secure vault data.
Yeah.
It all sort of points towards a strategic layer in OnPassive that maybe isn't fully out in the open yet.
So this deep dive is about connecting those dots.
Exactly. Bringing that clearer picture to you.
Okay, let's really unpack this then. Surprise commissions, I mean, the name itself sounds almost, well, too good to be true. What are we actually talking about here?
Well, from the sources we've looked at, they're essentially defined as latent or hidden earnings.
Earnings. Okay.
Yeah, think of them as potential payouts that might be delayed or strategically compressed or even coded into these things called legacy user matrices.
Legacy user matrices. What does that mean?
Basically, structured groups of users from the earlier phases. The idea is they might hold some kind of untapped value.
Right.
And the theory goes, once OWallet 2.0, that's the updated global version of their digital wallet, once that goes live,
Mm-hmm.
it could trigger these, well, intelligent payouts
Mm-hmm.
tied to your activity, maybe your referrals, or even those early founding timestamps.
So it's not just a simple, you did this, you get that transaction.
Not entirely, no.
It sounds like there's a deeper, maybe an algorithmic appreciation happening. We found that powerful statement from Ash Mufareh, didn't we?
Yes, the one that goes, what's yours is yours, what you don't know yet is still working for you.
Exactly. Which, at the time might have sounded a bit vague. But looking back, it seems to point directly at this idea, these AI-controlled conditional releases.
It does seem to fit, yeah.
So what's the strategic thinking there? Rewarding stuff you don't even track.
Well, that leads to the technical side, which is fascinating.
Huh.
How could a system like this actually work?
Right.
The sources suggest that if OnPassive is really integrating blockchain protocols.
Which is that decentralized, secure ledger system.
Precisely. If they're integrating that with the wallets, then these surprise commissions could manifest for you in ways that are automated and verifiable.
How so? Like what?
Well, it could be token-based incentives.
Yeah.
Or smart contracts.
Ah, the self-executing agreements, like a digital vending machine.
Kind of, yeah. They automatically trigger payouts when certain conditions are met, or maybe even retro payouts to qualified founders based on where they sat in those older structures.
That definitely sounds like it would need a super secure, tamper-proof distribution method.
Absolutely.
Could that mean using OnPassive's own tokens? Maybe these O coins we hear about as bonus asset.
That's a key question, isn't it? Using a proprietary token like an O coin would allow for, seamless internal distribution. Value that could potentially turn into real O-wallet credit, or maybe be used for other OnPassive services.
Right.
The key takeaway here, if these technologies are integrated, is that it suggests OnPassive is building a system for, well, trustless automated rewards.
Where your long-term contributions get recognized by the system itself, not just someone deciding.
Exactly. That seems to be the implication from the sources.
Okay, building on that.
Hmm.
Let's look at Ash Mufareh's history and patterns, because this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
I agree.
There seems to be a consistent theme that might shed light on all this.
Absolutely. The sources we looked at consistently highlight this pattern, where Ash Mufareh has reportedly rewarded long-term loyalty, belief in the vision.
Example.
Well, things like gifting founders lifetime licenses or making those refund promises. The sources see these as pretty significant gestures, appreciation for the early believers.
So it's not just a one-off, but a pattern.
Seems like it.
And I remember reading something about a buffer vault mentioned on a leadership call. What was that about?
Yeah, that speaks to a deliberate plan, doesn't it? The buffer vault was described as an internal reserve, held specifically for future appreciation distribution.
So basically a pool of value set aside just for these kinds of surprises.
That's the idea presented, yes.
Yes.
And furthermore, our research found discussions about smart cycles
Smart cycles.
with OES v2.0, the next ecosystem evolution being active, and harvesting data from tools like OConnect,
The meeting platform.
right, and OTracker for analytics, Odesk for support. The system could potentially calculate and distribute this surprise value based directly on your engagement, your contribution.
Wow. Okay, so putting that all together, it suggests a layered system, rewarding not just direct sales, but loyalty, engagement, foundational support.
Moving beyond traditional commissions, perhaps.
Definitely seems like it. So given all that, let's break down some possible types of payouts you might see. What do the hypothetical models look like?
Okay, well, our sources outline a few interesting ones. First, a legacy founder reward. For those who got in really early,
Yeah.
acknowledging that foundational support.
Makes sense.
Then, a global connector bonus for people who actively helped grow the community, brought in new affiliates. Rewarding network building.
Okay.
Third, an AI engagement bonus. This one's based directly on how much you use the ONPASSIVE products. Shows the system rewarding active participation.
Right, using the tools.
Then there's wallet loyalty drops, kind of like crypto airdrops, but happening inside the ONPASSIVE ecosystem, a loyalty bonus.
Interesting.
And finally, a really intriguing one, OnFusion Crosslink.
On Fusion, the upcoming digital identity platform.
That's the one. The idea is it could inherit some of this surprise. Like maybe just your OnPassive email ID triggers something when you log into OnFusion, leveraging your existing presence.
That is fascinating. Okay, lots of possibilities there. But what about the practicalities? Many of you are probably wondering, is this cash or points?
Good question.
And are there, minimum thresholds, hoops to jump through?
The consensus from the sources we looked at, likely a mix, both cash and points.
A mix, okay.
These points could potentially convert into actual wallet credit. And some might even be these utility tokens.
Digital assets for use within the ecosystem.
Exactly. Now, regarding thresholds, yes, highly probable.
Like what?
Likely tied to completing your KYC verification.
The Know Your Customer Identity check. Standard stuff for financial things.
Right, and maintaining some minimum level of product activity, like using OMail, ONET, or OConnect consistently each month, perhaps.
So you need to be verified and active.
That seemed to be the strong suggestion, yes.
Now, during our research, we found something quite powerful, what was described as a pre-recorded message from Ash Mufareh himself, sort of encapsulating the spirit of all this.
Yes, that message.
It's worth hearing, I think. You believed when it was hard. You stayed when it looked impossible. What you're about to experience isn't a payout. It's appreciation, multiplied. Surprise is the on-end switch of the heart. Wait for the click.
Powerful wording.
It really frames these commissions as more than just money, doesn't it? Connects it to loyalty, perseverance.
Definitely sets an emotional tone. It's positioned as appreciation.
So with that in mind, what can you actually do to be ready if these, surprise drops happen?
The advice from the sources is pretty clear on this. Make sure your OMail, OWallet, OConnect accounts, they're all synced up and active.
Keep everything current.
Exactly. And crucially, complete your O-Verify. Update your digital ID. The information strongly emphasizes these appreciation drops won't go to inactive profiles or ones without completed KYC.
So keep your digital house in order, basically.
It's a good way to put it.
Okay, it's one thing to talk hypotheticals, future possibilities, but has there been anything, in the real world, any glimpses that this is actually happening?